My name's Eli Delaney, and I have the honor of meeting some pretty cool people. These are the entrepreneurs, the artists, the creatives, the game changers that are making a positive impact in the people that they meet. And I'm a firm believer that the people that you meet can get you anywhere you want to go. And this show is my way of sharing them with you. It's my way of also helping you meet cool people. All right, welcome back, everybody. Eli here, and today I have a very cool recent introduction. Jake Stahl, he and I had an amazing conversation literally last week, and I was like, all right, this dude definitely needs to be on the show. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background on him before I bring him in here. He is the creator of Neurostrategy, a powerful blend of behavioral psychology, social psychology, and NLP. He's going to talk a bit about that later. He's also the CEO of Orchestraight, which I'm going to let him talk a lot more on that one because it's a pretty cool platform that he's been doing some amazing stuff with. He is one of those sought after behavioral trainers in the world, helping teams replace outdated tactics with high converting conversations rooted in psychology and performance. And he's often described as the man who can create the perfect conversation. Jake is known for decoding resistance in real time, rewiring how people lead, sell, and succeed. So with all of that, Jake, thanks for coming and hanging out today, my friend.
Boy, I'll tell you, that's like $100 introduction. I'll take that anytime.
Well, I have people send stuff over and then I have to go through and rework it a little bit, make it, and to be perfectly, I rework it purely because I have a horrible time trying to read a script. And so I have to make it so it's like, okay, how can I deal with that? But you got some cool stuff going on. And I mean, I knew this from our conversation, but then I'm sitting there going, okay, where are we going to take this? So we'll let it go where it needs to go. But I want to start off. Tell us a little bit of Neurostrategy. What is it and where did that come from?
Yeah, so I've been a trainer for 30 years and I've done it all over 6 countries, 47 states, 10,000 plus people, give or take 5. Mm-hmm. And one thing I found was even raising kids, everybody likes to say you're special. You're different. You're unique. And the thing I've found, to be honest with Eli, is we're not. We all process pretty much the exact same way. We all get the same fear spikes and happiness, and we're all more in common than not. And that led me to get a degree in psychology, start really studying social psychology and neurolinguistic programming to see, is there like a base programming we all have that we can appeal to? And the answer is largely, yeah, there is. There is a way that we all think and base things. So I took the 3 of those. I developed a methodology that I use to teach people, and I combined them all into what I call Neurostrategy, and I trademarked it, and that's where we are. So it's really the combination of behavioral and social psych and NLP to create high impact messages and to create what I call the perfect conversation.
I love it. And anybody who knows me knows I'm a psychology geek. I love seeing it's like, okay, what is it that makes people tick? What is it that makes us think and do things the way we do them? So that's one of the reasons why I know you and I hit it off immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Right out of the gate. So what, before you started this, what was it you did? What took you to the journey of getting to this point?
I was a trainer for, a long time, but I was a salesperson before that.
Okay.
And I was number 1 in 3 international companies in sales. And one day somebody said to me, hey, would you mind training somebody on how to do this? And I was young and cocky and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And once I got to the point where I had to teach them, I'm like, I have no idea how I do this. I don't know. Yeah. And so it led to a journey of figuring out exactly how did we do the things we do. And I think there are some people that are naturals. But I think for the most part, we're not naturals. We're human. We speak before we think. We rely on the apology or the ability to backtrack. And that's okay. But it's a worthwhile endeavor understanding how to speak better with other people and really get through.
Yeah. No, and I think that's one of the things you and I talked about before that I thought was so fun was because you're talking about there are some people that are natural. It's like when I first learned about NLP, I had people asking me, where did you learn this? And I'm like, learn what? I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. And then come to find out, once they explained it to me and taught me a little bit, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I do that kind of stuff. Okay, I didn't know that. And so
Yeah.
that took me down the rabbit hole of studying it. And that's what a lot of what I do in, both my speaking, in my writing, all that kind of stuff is really based around the same kind of thing. It was me going down that rabbit hole of, okay, how I see these things working. Why do they work so well? And it was such a phenomenal process to understand all of that stuff. So tell us a little bit about what Orchestraight is, because I talked about it in your intro and I know it's a great platform helping people out, but kind of explain to us, what is it and what is its purpose?
So when I first started developing Neurostrategy, the thing I realized was that I wasn't the only one who needed this for my business. And so with my dad was a solo owner of a pharmacy, and he went through all these processes to get his business up and running, and it was very successful. But there are millions of businesses that start each year that aren't as successful. As a matter of fact, it's like a 95% failure rate for a solopreneur who fails in the first year. So with Orchestraight, I wanted to build something that was going to put the power of Neurostrategy in their hands. So Orchestraight is a SaaS product that uses Neurostrategy to create your offer, your ICP, your value prop, your elevator pitches. It teaches you how to negotiate. It teaches you how to do business development, how to do a discovery call. It will even translate transcripts for you and give you the inside scoop on how people are thinking and what verbiage will cut through the way they make decisions. So Orchestraight is Neurostrategy in SaaS form, along with my 30 years of training experience.
I love it. And it's very cool because obviously we're in the world of AI right now where everybody's thinking, oh, I could just take this stuff, I'll stick it into ChatGPT and it'll give me the world. And here's the difference with that. And I think that, I always go back and forth with people with that mindset of that kind of stuff. There's a difference between asking for that general knowledge versus the specified knowledge that you've put into this platform. And I think that really is that's the magic sauce. That's what makes it actually work so well. So as is this something for more solopreneurs, bigger companies? Where is your target market with this one?
Our ICP is typically up to companies of 250 people. Because that means it's either a solo person running their own business or they have 250 people with a sales team of between 5 and 10.
Okay.
But right now, a vast majority of our customers are 1 and 2 people shops. We have everything from ghostwriters to insurance agents to real estate people, all of them just trying to get that edge that they need. And you said something interesting about GPT giving you general knowledge. One thing I tell people when we talk about the difference between Orchestraight and ChatGPT is if you're using ChatGPT for your business development, you're setting a very, very low bar. You really are.
It is. It's true. Yeah.
And with the advanced knowledge now of using AI, people think that it can replace human communication. But I also remind people, eventually you're going to have to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So you better be good at it.
And I think that's, for me personally, I think that's a big piece because that is what a lot of people are doing. Is like, oh, I can just have ChatGPT write the response to this email, or I can have it write this conversation piece for me. It's like, but you've got to learn the basics. You have to understand how to actually communicate with other human beings.
Yeah.
And I think that's a slippery slope I think the world's going into, and that could be a show all in itself. But what I would love to hear, like, what are some examples of how people are using the software and like what you're teaching in Neurostrategy as a whole? What are some examples of that in action so people can really get a feel of what that is?
Yeah. So that's kind of a 2-part question. So the first part is, how is Orchestraight helping people? And the second part is, how does Neurostrategy help in real world verbal combat?
Yeah.
So to answer your first part, the SaaS piece is we have people using it for a lot of things. Some people are using it to help them rewrite their bio. Some people are using it to help them rewrite their offering. Because one of the things I found, Eli, is when I talk to people and they tell me what their value prop is, 9 times out of 10, at the end of the value prop, I'm sitting there thinking, I still don't know what it is. And I don't know how that's going to help me. So people use Orchestraight a lot to increase the persuasiveness of their message. And they use it for their LinkedIn profiles to create the persuasiveness of getting people to reach out to them. So it can be a persuasion machine for you. They're also using it to role play calls. So Orchestraight will teach you how to role play, and it will teach you how to use convincing, persuasive, high impact language. So that's how it's being used in business. I even have one company right now who uses it for communicating with their investors. So they know the right things to say and they know how to communicate what's going on with the company. In real world, Neurostrategy looks a little bit different, right? Because we're really trying to come up with it from our own brain, not having an AI do it. And Neurostrategy, to me, is selling without selling. What can I do in a live environment to communicate my product and me without mentioning my product or me? And I'll give you an example. Let's say that you write a follow-up email to somebody, you've sent a proposal, you're waiting to hear back from them. And you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And what 9.9 people out of 10 will do is they'll send an email saying, hey, pushing this back to the top of your inbox, wanted to see if you had a chance to read the proposal and if you had any questions. Don't do that. That's pushy. It's selling. Don't do it. Instead, go on Google, find an article that's applicable to your prospect, send them the article. Or send them the link to a book that may be helpful to them in their situation. And just say, found this, thought of you, and hit send. And what that does neurostrategically is it brings you back to the top of their mind, now as a gift giver, and them wanting to reciprocate. I can tell you, Eli, I've been doing this for 30 years, and I don't recall a time I have ever had somebody ghost me after sending something like that. Religiously, people will get back to me and say, oh my God, Jake, I owe you something. Holy crap, I'll get it to you right away. Or, hey, thanks for thinking of me. Still looking at your proposal. I'll get back to you shortly.
Yeah.
No, but Neurostrategy is all about the selling without selling.
And I think that's one of the reasons why you and I gel so well the first time we talked, is because you're talking about literally the same stuff that I teach my clients.
Yeah.
Is like, hey, recommend a book, send them a link to a YouTube, a TED talk on YouTube that you're like, hey, this was really good for me. Wanted to share it out. Hopefully it's good for you as well. I mean,
yeah,
it's all that stuff of how do you stay top of mind without being an annoying pest, which that is literally what I do with clients. And it's like, it's so fun and refreshing. It's like, oh, somebody else is doing the same kind of stuff from a mindset standpoint that I do. Is like, yes, this stuff actually works. And that's the amazing thing about it, because then you come out as somebody who wants to help them instead of somebody who is just looking for their credit card.
Yeah, I boiled it down to a 6-step process that's super simple. I call it strata. Mm-hmm. It's signal, trigger, reframe, anchor, transfer, action. What signal are they sending you? What are they triggering with you? And what's your message triggering with them? How do you reframe it to give them a different perspective? How do you anchor that reframe? How do you then transfer your message? And then how do you get a call to action? And although that sounds long, this takes place in seconds on a phone call. So I teach people how to think this through, how to understand the process, and how to build strata messaging that penetrates the brain in just the right way that people want to respond.
Very cool. I love it. Awesome. So you said that you've got people that are on the higher end that are working on this, but you have solopreneurs that are using this, this process. Talk a little bit about how, as a solopreneur, what is it that they're going to, like, their first steps when they walk in the door and they're going to work with you, and they're like, okay, maybe I need to check this platform out. What is it? How does it work? Most of them I can tell like I know from personal experience, most of them are like trying to figure out how to make sure that they can get their next sale. And that's as far as they've gotten. So
Yeah.
when they're coming to you, what is the very first step somebody should be looking at?
Well, the first thing when somebody comes to me, the first thing we do is I reframe their business development process. Because when I ask most of my clients when they come in, what's your definition of business development? It's networking and having a great offer and your messaging and having a strong ICP. And it's not. That's not business development. There's three things I get my clients to understand about business development. The first is it's about perception. How do you perceive them and how do they perceive you? Because however you perceive them is going to show through in every move they make, in every single word you say. And how they perceive you is going to be how they approach the call. So you need to understand that. Second is conditioning. What is your prospect conditioned to say? And we all know those answers, Eli. The price is too high. Not right now. I tried that before. I have to talk to my partner. We're conditioned to say a whole bunch of different things. And so we need to understand how to break that conditioning. And then the third piece is, how are we coded? Everybody is coded the same way. We all respond with gratitude. We all have love, fear, hate, despair. We're all coded the same way. If you can understand your client's perception, conditioning, and coding, you are literally going to sell 9 calls out of 10. But most people don't do that. We go in with a sales script. We try to jam things down their throat. We send out 10,000 emails hoping for 5 responses. And 90% of people fail with that, probably 95%. And yet we look at that and say, well, that's the model for business development. Got news for you. If that was the model for business development, there wouldn't be a 95% failure rate.
Yeah, I love that. And that is so true because when I first got into this world, especially on the speaking side, I was closing like 10% of the room and everybody else was like, you're doing awesome. I'm like, no, that sucks. What about the other 90? Right. What did I do wrong here?
Yeah.
And it's something I talk about quite a bit. You brought in a couple of really important things with those 3 points there, looking at like perception and, how you are perceived, going back to how you're helping your clients and what is the first step that people need to look at specifically for that? Because I think that's like the number one thing people really need to get. That's a hurdle they need to get over. And a lot of times people don't even realize it is a hurdle. Is How do you change that perception of how people actually see you? Because how we see ourselves is definitely not how other people are seeing us. True. So what would be that first, where do people go from that standpoint? How can they be aware of it and what do they need to do?
First step, change your headshot. I cannot tell you how many headshots I see that do not invoke trust. They do not invoke people wanting to talk to you. You'll get somebody that wants to come across as tough and serious, or somebody that puts a picture of themselves hang gliding. Don't do that. Psychologists have pointed out 3 things in a photo that invoke trust. Big smile, ear to ear, not fake. Bonus points if you show teeth, right? Crow's feet is another bonus point. I got plenty of those. Second is posture. Lean forward or just sit up straight. None of this sitting back, none of this cocky pose, none of the crossed arms, nothing like that. Right. You want your picture to look like it's paying attention. Okay. Last but not least is my favorite, and that's a slight tilt of the head. Nothing huge, just slight. And psychologists believe that because you're exposing the carotid, you're showing that you trust them. And this is a signal that's been around through all of evolution. When you run after a dog, if you've ever owned a dog and you're angry with it, the dog will stop, fall to the ground, and expose its stomach. Mm-hmm. And it's doing that because it's showing, I trust you, do whatever you need to do.
Right.
And by exposing our carotid, we do that. So change your headshot if you want to be trusted from that immediate first instance to have those 3 things. It makes a huge difference.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you the next question, which I'm sure you've probably heard before. What are you thinking about everybody doing all the AI headshots that are going on right now, based on that stuff you just talked about?
I think that it's fine. If you want to do an avatar of yourself and you want to do that, that's great, but you're losing out.
Yeah. Okay.
AI photography and AI images are so easy to pick. I get discouraged by people who go, look how realistic it is. No, it's not.
Right.
You can tell right away. And what it says to me is that you didn't want to take the effort to really get yourself into a good shot and have yourself photographed. So
Mhm.
if you're not going to invest in you, why do you want me to invest in you?
Right. Well, and I'll take that even further on the fact that to me, that's almost like inauthenticity. It's like you're lying. And
Yeah.
it's no different than, there's always the joke about like the filters that are out there that make people look younger or prettier than they are, right?
Yeah.
And you see somebody in real life, it's like, that's not, are you the same person? I don't understand. There's confusion there. And I
Yeah.
always look at the fact that those kind of things to me are red flags in the fact that that's inauthentic. And
Yes.
so that's where it always catches me. And I think that what you just explained on those key points to your profile picture, it's not that difficult, but it's very, very powerful because it puts out there that authenticity, that real, genuine, this is me, this is really me kind of
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah. And just to kind of build on that a little bit, a lot of people are using AI because it's the new fancy neato thing to do.
Shiny
And
object.
right. And the reality is your client doesn't care about your neato.
You're right.
What they care about is the money they spend on you going to be less than or equal to the value that they get from you, because they want to get more value for their money. So I appreciate the fact that AI is around and there is a lot of great uses for it, but creating your headshot is not one of them.
Right. Yeah, no, I would have to agree with that one. I think it's kind of fun to play with if that's
It
what you're
is.
doing it. If you're doing it in a goofy manner and you're using it for some of your marketing stuff, but it's kind of like you're creating an avatar of yourself for that purpose.
Yeah.
But when it's really dealing with you, it should be a real picture of you, because that's what people are really connecting with.
Well, and my question is, why would you spend all that time when you're you? Just
Yeah,
get a picture taking of you. Why? It's
right.
to me like people who sit on the beach on vacation and spend time on their phone doing something virtually.
Right.
It's like you're on the beach. I
Yeah,
mean,
I could get
yeah.
that. I totally get that one. Yeah.
And another hint, Eli, just so you know, is the way you show up in a call is important.
Mhm.
First of all, show up on time. I cannot tell you how discouraged I get when people show up a minute late and go, "Oh my God, I'm really sorry. I was on long with another call."
Mhm.
So you thought they were worth their time, but I'm not worth my time. Is that what you're saying? Because that's kind of what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
And we've gotten to this age where if you're 5 minutes late, it's acceptable, and it's not. You want to impress somebody, be on time. Don't eat on video. Do the things that just make sense.
Yeah. It's so funny. Those things are it still confuses me on the fact that those are considered okay and acceptable in today's world, because you and I, like, we both would agree with this on this one, is they're not.
No.
And things happen. If you're running late, things happen, but this is a rarity situation. And this is why we do have texting. I'm not a big fan of texting, but texting somebody to say, hey, I'm running 5 minutes late, or I got, Zoom is not playing nice. Of course,
Yeah.
that's always the thing that does happen, is you're
Yeah,
getting
of
on a Zoom
course.
call and it decides to update literally when you're jumping on. But that's why I generally try to jump on a few minutes early,
Me
because
too.
then I can make sure.
Yep.
And I think that these are the type of things that people don't even realize the type of damage it does to your quote unquote reputation, really.
Yeah.
And when, yes, again, things happen. Sometimes just life happens and we are late, but that's an exception, not the norm. And
Correct.
that's a big piece. And showing up, I like the fact you said don't eat on on camera. That's a good one. I have a friend that is a massive pet peeve of him. That he was sitting right here, he would go off for like 10 minutes on that one specifically, because that's a big thing for him. But even just, that's one of the things I noticed since like 2020, when we all went into this virtual space, which I've been doing virtual stuff for 20 years, but when we all went into it and everybody did, people got really lazy, and they're like, they show up and they look like they just rolled out of bed.
Yeah. They're in their pajamas. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, the camera's sitting up there. If you still want to put on your PJs on the bottom, that's fine, but dress up on the top at least, or at least comb your hair. Don't have your video camera set up so you can see the bed that's unmade and still has clothes on it behind you, things like that. Because all of these things make a difference.
Yeah. And to the people who are sitting in the audience listening to this and saying, well, the other person doesn't mind, you don't know that.
Right.
You have no idea. Because they didn't have a courage to call you out on being late doesn't mean they don't mind.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where I think we're all like, well, I wouldn't care if it happened. Yeah, but you're not talking to you.
Right.
You're talking to a prospect. And what they think matters. What you might think doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of those things, as much as it sounds like common courtesy, it is part of neurostrategy. These are all sending signals as to how trustworthy you are, the type of person you are, what kind of person you are to do business with. Everything is sending a signal. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of scientists that say 80% of what you say to somebody is nonverbal.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. And that's, I was even just, I was just reading a book, and he was talking about, like, one of the biggest things for me is if I'm sitting down having coffee or dinner with somebody or whatever, I take my phone out and I put it face down on the table.
Yeah. So it doesn't ring.
Yeah. So, because it's there because I don't want to be sitting on my phone, right? Because I normally have it in my back pocket, but I want it there, but I have it face down. So I'm not going to be distracted. That's like, and it was interesting because I read this literally at lunch before we started this call. And he's talking about when he first got into his arena, one of his mentors took him to lunches and he saw this is what his mentor did. And he's like, it's almost like you're presenting the fact that you have my undivided attention, and they're making a point to do it that way. So you see that my phone is not going to distract me.
Correct.
And I'm like, because that's another one of those things, like I do that, but it's like, oh, that's okay. I like it. I like now I'm more intentional about it because of the fact that it's been, top of mind, and things like that. They're just simple little things, but they make such a big difference.
They do. They add up. And my joke is, if you say to somebody, listen, I want you to picture that phone call that comes in, that you look at the caller ID and you look at the picture that pops up and you think to yourself, I just do not have time for this person. Right?
Yep.
We all know who that person is. Everybody that's listening to this now came up with a picture in their head or a name attached to that picture. Well, keep doing these things to people, and that could be you.
Right.
It could be your picture that people go, I just don't have time for them today.
Yeah.
So show that respect, and you're going to be amazed at how much more people want to do business with you.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a, like, I keep saying this, but it is such a simple thing, but it's such a powerful, powerful thing.
Yeah.
I love it. It's awesome. So as we're going through, obviously, we want people to check out Orchestraight and all that kind of stuff. And you can give out the link in a minute, but we talked about, like, change your headshot, don't be late, things like that. Is there anything else in this arena that people should be being more aware of right out of the gate? It's like, hey, if you go do this thing and do these 2 or 3 things right out of the gate, this is going to create a better impact and a better influence on other people in a good way that's going to help you out.
Yeah. So one of them is actually do some reading on things like social psychology and NLP. It teaches you verbiage that makes a difference. And I'll give you an example. So when you're following up with somebody, you're doing a call to action, it's very easy to put in your email, hey, and here's my calendar link, go ahead and book a time. Well, think about how that's coming across. You're putting the onus on somebody else to do that. You're telling them what to do, and you're saying, I'm really lazy, so you're going to have to just find time on my calendar. But with little tweaks in verbiage, it can sound a lot different. So you may say something like, if it makes sense, let's set up a time. Here's my calendar link to make it easy for you. Or would it make sense to talk live? Would you be kind enough to find a spot in my calendar? There's a whole different feeling that goes with that verbiage versus here's my calendar link, set up a time. When you give people choices versus telling them what to do and you make it feel like their idea, they are much more likely to do that. Anybody who's had a live meeting with me will tell you my classic line is, would it make sense to talk live? And then I put my calendar link. I've never had somebody go, no, that doesn't make sense at all. Everybody says, yeah, I think that would make perfect sense, but I'm not telling them what to do. I'm leaving it up to them. And there's huge psychological backing in that if I have the choice to do something and I'm not told to, I am more likely to do it, enjoy it, and follow through. So my advice to people is take the time you would normally take to do something extraneous. Watch a YouTube video or listen to a podcast and find one that helps you with verbiage, that helps you understand a little bit of psychology, because it matters. We're all wired the same way. When you understand that wiring, your message and your business are going to pick up like you never, ever expected.
That was awesome. I'm just going to stop right there and just say, for everybody listening, rewind this for about 3 minutes. And everything he just said about the calendar piece is pure gold. I can even say, as much as I have done stuff working with, psychology and language and all that kind of stuff, I do not do it that way. And I'm going to make that change because that was brilliant right there.
Thank you.
So yes,
Appreciate
I love it. That was awesome stuff. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. Stop the video or audio, whatever you're listening to, rewind it about 3.5 minutes and listen to that again and take really, really good notes, because what he said was pure gold. So thank you, my friend. That was awesome.
Thank you.
All right. So we are getting close to the end here. And I always have 2 final questions for everybody. The last one's the easy one. How do people get a hold of you? But before that, this is the Meet Cool People show. So I'd love to hear in your own words, what does Meet Cool People mean to you?
Well, first of all, my applause to you for that tagline, that hashtag, Meet Cool People. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Because to me, whoever I deem cool is somebody that's like me. And I think that's true for most people. So Meet Cool People to me means meet people like me with the same type of goals and outcomes and maybe even same mannerisms. And it means that I'm going to meet people that I'm going to enjoy associating with. So Meet Cool People to me is meet people like me. You're going to thrive. You're all going to get along great. And it's going to be to your benefit.
Awesome. Love it, my friend. This was great stuff. So what is the easiest way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, the best way to do it is you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm the one that looks like me. If you're listening to this on audio, I am the CEO of Orchestraight. So you will find that there. Also of Jake Stahl Consulting. If you want to see my product, you can go to orchestraight.com. I'm sure you're going to put that in the call notes.
Yep.
Orchestraight with is straight spelled STRAIGHT because it's the straightest and shortest path to success.
Awesome. Love it, my friend. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out today. This was pure wisdom, and I appreciate it. And of course, for me, it was a great conversation because I love talking psychological, geeky stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm anxious to get you on my podcast too. So thank you for the time, and I appreciate it.
Awesome. So everybody get out there, have an amazing day, amazing week, all that kind of fun stuff. As always, reach out. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you out. Take care.
And that wraps up another Meet Cool People show.
Now, if you like what you heard, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, or review so I can help introduce these amazing, cool people to even more amazing, cool people. And just remember, meeting cool people is just the beginning. You need to have a system in place to follow up with the amazing people that you meet. This is exactly what we do for our clients. If you'd like to see if my team and I can help you, go to followuprockstar.com and check out the case study video to see exactly how we're helping our clients turn casual connections into cash clients for life. Again, go to followuprockstar.com and we'll see how we can work together to turn you into a follow-up rockstar.